So Arizona legislation, I would contend, is not the answer for Georgia. When considering this type of anti-immigrant legislation, I think we should start with three different basic questions. One, what are the costs of passing and implementing this law, and do we have the resources to do it? If we spend those resources on immigration laws, then where do we not spend those resources? Where are we losing resources? And finally, is this an effective use of our resources? So let's try to go through each of these questions with regard to the Arizona law. What are the costs of the law, and do we have the resources to do it? Well, right now, we all know that many states have budget problems and budget deficits. And while passing tough immigration legislation might seem like the politically right thing to do, it's probably not going to help your state financially. Now, in Arizona, we unfortunately don't have good estimates of how much it costs to pass and to implement SB 1070. Usually in Arizona, when there's a bill put before the legislature, there's an accompanying fiscal note. But unfortunately, the fiscal note that came with this bill was completely lacking in details. And instead, the fiscal note concluded that the fiscal impact of this bill cannot be determined with certainty, and we do not have the means to quantify the impact on the level of illegal immigration. So right there, that tells you that there's a problem. But we can use other proxies to kind of estimate how much it would cost to implement the Arizona law. Back in 2006, there was another proposal put forward in Arizona that would basically tell police that they could arrest anybody for trespassing. They could arrest undocumented immigrants or people they suspect of being undocumented immigrants for trespassing and put them in jail. So the sheriff Ogden in Yuma County, Arizona, which is just one of the 15 counties in Arizona, put together a fact sheet detailing the costs of implementing that particular bill. So he found that law enforcement agencies would spend between $775,000 and $1 million in processing expenses. Jail costs would be between $21 million and $96 million. Attorney and staff fees would be between $800,000 and $1 million. Additional detention facilities would probably have to be built at unknown costs. Additional court staff, interpreters, administrative staff, and pretrial services all would have to be hired and paid for. And that's just one county in Arizona. So we're looking at millions and millions of dollars of implementing this type of law. In addition to those implementation costs, we know that there have already been 5 lawsuits filed against the Arizona law, and they've been somewhat successful, right? And Arizona has undoubtedly paid a lot of money defending those lawsuits and will continue to pay a lot of money defending those lawsuits in the courts. So if we're spending millions and millions of dollars passing and implementing and defending these anti-immigrant laws, where are we not spending money? And I think that this is a really important point that people really haven't given a lot of thought to. If police are spending their time arresting and processing immigrants who they suspect of being undocumented, then the police have less capacity to do all the other things that the police are supposed to be doing, right? Protecting and serving their communities. That doesn't mean just immigrants, that means you and me. So crime can actually increase, I think, as a result of these anti-immigrant ordinances. And we have examples of that. Sheriff Arpaio in Arizona, we've all heard of Sheriff Arpaio, he's made himself an immigration enforcement agency, and it appears that that is all he is doing. And as a result, when you call 911 in Maricopa County, it now takes much longer for the police to arrive at your door. Arrest rates have dropped, and there are thousands, literally thousands of felony arrest warrants sitting on a pile on his desk that have not been served because the police is too busy arresting immigrants rather than doing what they're supposed to be doing. In addition, we have heard about the boycotts that Arizona has experienced, right? The mayor of Phoenix estimated a little while ago that the loss of convention revenue to Arizona would be at least $90 million over 5 years. We know that they have already lost millions of dollars on tourism and probably will continue to lose millions of dollars as a result of passing this law. I think that there have also been costs to their reputation. That is important to keep that in mind. And do we really want Georgia to have that lost in reputation as well? Is this an effective use of our resources? Basically, in Arizona, they said, we have a lot of crime along the border. We have a lot of crime in this state, and it's all caused by illegal immigrants, so we need to pass this law. Well, the fact of the matter is that data from the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics shows that the rates for both property crime and violent crime have been falling in Arizona in recent years. There is no proven association between unauthorized immigration and higher crime rates. Yes, there is a problem along the border. I was just in El Paso last week, and there is a problem with violence. There is a problem with drug trafficking, with arms trafficking, with other illicit activity along the border. But there is not a single provision in SB 1070 that dealt with those very real problems along the border. So the reasons that politicians and others gave for passing this law are illegitimate, and this is not an effective use of resources to solve those very real problems. And of course, there is an effect on the overall economy. There was a study released a couple years ago now, though, in July 2007 by the University of Arizona's Udall Center for Studies in Public Policy, and they concluded that economic output would drop annually by at least $29 billion, or 8.2%, if all non-citizen workers were removed from Arizona's workforce. About 2/3 to 3/4 of all non-citizen workers are undocumented. So basically, they're saying if you were to somehow get rid of all undocumented workers in the state, you would be getting rid of workers and taxpayers and consumers, people who are buying things. So that has an effect on the state's economy, that has an effect on the state's businesses, and again, on all of us. We also know that when people when they don't have a legal status, that means that they really lack certainty and stability in their lives. And that means that they are unable or unwilling, in some cases, to really invest in themselves and in their communities, right? It's harder to go to school. It's more difficult to increase your education, to buy a house, etc. Many of them are shut out of credit markets. You can't get a bank account. So that's another loss to community investment. So that's the downside. But we always have to remember that undocumented immigrants, like I just said, are workers. They're taxpayers. They're home buyers. They're renters. They're consumers. But if they had legal status, they'd be even more so. And that's, I think, the point that I wanted to make, that if we legalize undocumented immigrants, if we introduce an element of certainty to their lives, if they're not as vulnerable, they're going to invest more in themselves, earn better wages, consume more, and pay more in taxes. So legalizing unauthorized immigrants would actually increase tax revenues. If we pass CIR, which includes legalization and the creation of more legal channels for immigrants to come legally to the country, it would add at least $1.5 trillion in cumulative U.S. gross domestic GDP, or gross domestic product, over 10 years. $1.5 trillion in cumulative GDP over 10 years. On the other hand, mass deportation would cost at least $200 billion over 5 years. And that's assuming that we could actually have some kind of successful program of mass deportation. So I think the economics here are pretty clear, that if you pass an Arizona-type bill, that has vast negative implications for the state, both in practical and economic terms and in real humanitarian terms as well. However, if we pass comprehensive immigration reform, that has a great benefit to the U.S. economy and many other benefits that I'm sure we're all aware of as well. So I think I want to conclude the way that Chuck concluded. Why aren't the people of Georgia, instead of pushing for some kind of Arizona-type legislation, they should be knocking on their politicians' doors and begging them to get off their butts and to pass comprehensive immigration reform in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.